Even the most well-networked CEO in the world will still have a limited black book of contacts, or won't necessarily have access to an individual with specialist expertise. For example, GDPR or Brexit. Who do you talk about? If suddenly you realise that we thought we were going to stay in the European Union, or lots did, and then suddenly the next day we're not, and that caused a lot of panic. So if you have immediate access to an expert who can advise on that, that's a valuable resource. But it could be anything. It could be a business who's looking to launch a new product or enter a new territory. They've never entered Eastern Europe, for example, or launched a product in that region, and therefore, rather than having to fire and rehire people with those capabilities, which can be demotivating, it can be very expensive, why don't you just connect an individual in the business who is smart and capable with an individual externally who's been there and done it before, and help them guide them through that project? So it could just be 2 hours every other week. So it's a pay-as-you-go approach to accessing specialist skills and knowledge.
Do you see that as a trend?
Absolutely. So some of the sort of the key trends that I see taking place: virtual work presences will become the norm. They'll be more reliant on a project-based workforce, so companies having the flexibility to up and down scale their teams and their resources as and when they need to. Far more efficient way of doing things, and also growth of the micropreneur. So this is the individual who wants to take more control over their work and life schedule, who wants to maybe get involved in multiple projects, which increases their learning. It's more fun, they have more variation. So I think those are the three main trends that we'll see. And online outsourcing as an industry, it's projected to grow from $4 billion to between 15 and 25 by 2020. So that's phenomenal growth. But of course, online outsourcing is only a method of providing the same service, which is just access to knowledge. It increases the pool and improves the efficiency of tapping into those experts.
So was there something that you sort of identified when you were interviewing executives, when you were searching for them, or when you were speaking to the clients, when they're saying this is what we're looking for, these are our changes, our challenges, that informed that? Or
I knew that online outsourcing was growing. So back in 2008, during the financial crash, you had websites such as Upwork and Freelancer, which just exploded. You had an enormous amount of the workforce entering the market through redundancies, and you had organizations who were downsizing but still required skills at certain times. So I saw these trends kind of taking place, but this kind of goes back to your earlier question about, do you need experience in the industry? I kind of just saw the efficiency in that offering. It's a very new way of working, and we speak to businesses now and you sort of see a light bulb turn on and they think, oh right, I've never considered that way of working before. So you have to be very careful. Sometimes you can go out into an industry and you can find out what the customer wants and you can provide a product or service. The other way of doing it is to absorb yourself into the industry, learn about it, and then come up with your own ideas about how it could be more efficient. And it can be more risky, but therefore it can be more rewarding because you're changing the game. But there are other businesses that provide kind of hourly consulting and similar things. Our job is to try and utilize technology to make it cheaper and more efficient, and therefore more accessible to all. So yes, that's sort of how we came up with the concept. I just know deep down from working with clients and organizations and individuals that you don't need to hire people for weeks or months or years. A few hours is all you sometimes need to bounce some ideas off someone, or test some concepts, or ask some questions. I was onboarding an expert the other day, and he was a CDO of a major telecoms company, and he said, this would be fantastic. He said, I've always wanted just to be able to talk to someone, challenge some ideas and ask some questions. He said, with consulting, I thought it was a fantastic phrase, you often have to buy the album when you only want the single. And so we're trying to sell the single.
Do the iTunes